No motivation.
No
So you're,
motivation.
I have too much motivation.
I know, like Darlene was like a good example for people. Just keep motivated.
Encouraging others.
Yeah, I've been I've been noticing like my 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 classes, like the number of people that I sign on are getting smaller every week. So I hopefully you guys keep your motivation up. What's up, Amy? I see you just joined us. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get started. Let me just do a recap of things that we needed to get done and things that we're going to we're doing. So let me just double check something real fast. AP exam dates 2020. I actually don't remember what the exact date is for our test. AP Language and Composition. Oh, okay. Ours is not until June, so we'll have some time. Oh, that's a makeup day. What's the regular day? English literature, English language and composition, May 20th. Okay, even then, we said like May 20th is a long time away. Okay, so before I get into the Crucible, let me show you this one. One of the major assignments we had was rhetorical analysis number 1, which we closed it. This one, we only had 6 people turn it in. So far, these people are doing well. Juliana, Darlene, Alicia, Chelsea, Katia, Steph. I reopened it for today. So I'm gonna post this video up. If you haven't done this, you can open it up and go into it today and do it. It's pretty simple in a sense. It's the same thing we've been doing, but I just recommend going in there and reading ahead of time. So people that are in here right now, everyone did it, Alex, except Alex, you need to do this. So all you need to do is read the stuff ahead of time and write an essay. It's a timed essay. So this is very important. Like there's other stuff we're gonna do. It's important to know the content just to understand the material. But this is what we're actually working on, because I'm gonna open up a 3rd rhetorical analysis this week. So it's important for you guys to be caught up because it's gonna start moving quickly. Oh, Manny's coming in. What's up, Manny? You're logging in right now. All right, so I'm gonna open up a 3rd one this week. I'm gonna message some of you guys tomorrow. Some of you guys signed up for a conference. Not everyone did, but the ones that did, I at least want to talk to you guys. Did you see the timing right here? It's on Schoology. If you go to like a drive page, you see Steph's at 1, Alicia's at 1:30, Chelsea's at 1:30, Darlene. If you guys can go in there and set up a time for you guys to at least talk about how you can improve your rhetorical analysis or what some comments. We still have about 20 days before the AP exam, and just so you're not consistently doing bad on the rhetorical analysis. So a lot of people did number 1. Not that many people did number 2, but I'm gonna grade that today. So I need everyone to do that if you haven't, and I'm gonna open up a 3rd one. So it's gonna pile on quickly if you don't do these. And they're not supposed to be the most amazing essays. They're supposed to be timed essays. And the key thing, and we've talked about it many times, is what you need to do is just figure out what is the space cat, what is the soapstone of it, and from there, what is the author trying to do to be persuasive. And the first ones are going to be bad, and we can get better at it. So we're going to open up another one this week. So if you haven't done it yet, please do that. Okay. One of the assignments I asked you guys to do last week is, besides that thing, the rhetorical analysis, is regarding the crucible. So what you needed to do, if you look on here in Unit 5, you'll see discussion and assignments, and I added an assignment called Act 1 Guiding Questions. There was something else called in class number 2 Crucibles, and we read something called these are discussion questions. These were after each of the class periods, so I would go back and try to do that today because I'm looking at that right now. But the key thing is Act 1 Guiding Questions. You're supposed to read through Act 1 yourself and answer the following questions, right? There's, I added too many of them. If you look through it, you weren't supposed to answer all of them. Actually, the one I added has a little too many of them. If you have a piece of paper, I'd get a piece of paper out right now, just so you kind of could take notes on Act 1. I'm going to open up a quiz for you guys to take regarding Act 1. And you could use open notes and open book, but it's a time quiz. So if you mess up on it, I mean, you have more chances to take it, but it'll be easier for you to take it if you take notes. So I'm gonna give you about minutes, and if you have paper, we get some notes out, because we're going to go over what happened in the play. And then I accidentally uploaded one that had 20 questions, but I'll give you the answers to all 20 questions. And I'm gonna open up a quiz, and the quiz will kind of be an overview of what happened in Act 1, who the characters were, and sinners in the hands of an angry God. So all those things are open notes. You just need to figure out if you could keep up with it. All right. Does everyone understand? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Start this out. So I'll give you about 30 seconds if you guys want to get paper or anything, or type on your computers or your phones or whatever. But and I actually, if you look on Schoology, I uploaded this doc. You'll find it in Unit 5. Interactive notebook materials. Yeah. So you see it says Act 1 Summary and Analysis. So you want to look at that afterwards. Oh, that's where I added it. Act 1 Guiding Questions. Anyway, I'm show you guys the answers to it. All right, so Act 1. Even though you have this, I recommend looking at Act 1 just because, I mean, it's a play, so there's stuff happening. It just makes more sense. And next week we can go over Act 2 and Act 3, Act 4. So you need that ready. Yeah, let's get started. So Act 1 analysis. Once again, we're gonna have a quiz on this after, and last time went over the characters. So, and you should have, if you haven't already, read over Act 1 in the book. All right, let me move something on my screen. All right, so Act 1. We start off, we have to know certain characters. The person on the far left, that is Abigail Williams. She is the main antagonist. Antagonist means the person we're going against. She is at the very beginning of the story. She did the Salem Witch Trials discussion posts. You kind of know the background history. So basically, prior to the start of the play, Abigail and the girls, they go to the forest and they dance, right? The guy at the bottom right, Paris, Reverend Paris, he discovers him. Remember, Paris is Abigail's uncle. He discovers them dancing, and dancing is a sin, and he stops them. And you see that in the middle of their dancing, they have like a pot, and they look like they're conjuring spirits or doing something kind of crazy. So you see that. And then his daughter, Betty Paris, which is I think a 10-year-old girl, she passes out. So the play starts with her in bed and she's not waking up. and they're going to get a doctor to go see what's happening. And she's kind of in this coma. In real life events, Betty Paris also got sick. So in the very beginning, we have Abigail, Paris, and Tituba, which is the Paris's maid and slave. They're inside and they are tending to Betsy. So in the very beginning, Betty Paris has fallen into a strange coma. Around her hover Reverend Paris, her father, and the minister of this Massachusetts town of Salem, his 17-year-old niece, Abby Williams, and his slave, Tituba. When Tituba asks if Betty will be all right, Paris yells at her to get out of the room. Analysis of this, Paris's treatment of Tituba reveals his angry and selfish character. So he is an angry and selfish person. This also shows that Tituba's powerlessness. She is entirely at her master's command. She's a slave to the household. And one of the themes in the novel is Puritanism and individuality, right? So at the very beginning, it sets up the tone. It shows that Paris is a selfish person, that Tituba is a servant to the household, and the conflict is that Betty is sick, right? At this point, we're not really sure. There's no ideas of witchcraft yet, but we just know that girls were out in the forest dancing, doing something, right? So it's maybe conjure spells, but we're not sure if it's actually witchcraft. All right, so in the movie, and if you go to YouTube, you'll find the movie and watch it or rent it. It gives you a good visual of what's happening. They actually show the dancing scene, but that is all before the play starts. All right, so after that, after they discover that Betty is sick, the girls in town, because all the girls are part of this crew, led by Abigail. Abigail tries to desperately wake up Betty. At the same time, she and Mercy, her name Mercy Lewis, they try to get their story straight. They all dance, and Ruth and Tituba conjured spirits. Abigail tells Mercy that Paris saw her naked, and another girl, Mary Warren, runs in. She is terrified that the town will condemn them as witches. She wants to confess because if they're caught as witches, they'll be killed. But they weren't, they were just kind of messing around with the pot. If they're just saying they're fooling around and dancing, they just get whipped. But the girls don't even want to do that. Abigail established herself as the leader of the group. She is frightening. There's a scene in the play where she says, if anyone snitches on her, she'll stab them. They say it more elegantly in the play, but there's a scene in there where that happens. So Abigail at the moment is putting on effort to denying that there's witchcraft. And you see that, and that's going to play a big major part. So she is like saying, no, we are not, there's not witchcraft, we're just messing around. So a key thing that we see, we're introduced to our protagonist of the story, John Proctor. John Proctor is this farmer. We talked about his character last time we met. He's a farmer, well-respected man in town. One thing that we do know about him that not many people do know is that he had an affair with Abigail. Abigail's an 18-year-old girl that used to work at his place the year before, but she was thrown out by Elizabeth, John's wife. He goes to check on Betty because he hears about what happened, and he's one of the leaders of town. Him and Abigail have this weird moment, and she kind of confesses, like, I still have feelings for you, and he's holding back. But he does still show some affection for her. But he's explained to her, no, that's done with, it's over, Abby. And then there's this moment that Abigail curses out Elizabeth, his wife, and like, is that woman? And then John is very defensive, and they kind of split ways. But during that argument, the key thing this moment is, one, Abigail tries to kiss John. In the play, they don't kiss. In the movie, they do kiss. So it's up for interpretation when you read the words. She says, give me a soft word, John. And a soft word means, in this terms, give me a kiss. So even in this conversation, she explains to John that they're just messing around. There wasn't any witchcraft. when he's alone with Abigail, Proctor mentions the town's rumor of witchcraft. So everyone's scared that, okay, why is this girl sick? They find out another girl is sick that was hanging out with them. Abigail, key thing, Abigail dismisses them. Steps closer to Proctor and says it was all nothing. She says they were dancing and Betty just fainted. Proctor smiles and says, you wicked yets, aren't ye? Abigail steps even closer and asks for a soft word. He insists he loves her. Proctor admits he has some feelings for her, but says the affair is over. Abigail, hurt and angry, insults Elizabeth. So, So Proctor's outward morality hides his immoral thoughts and actions. So he is a moral character on the outside. Everyone sees him as a respected man, but inside he has internal conflict. When we talk about that there's external and internal conflict, and his internal conflict is man versus self. He hates that he ruined his good name, his integrity, for an affair with. We also find out that Abigail's kind of crazy. So even though they weren't doing witchcraft, she wanted Tituba. She thinks that Tituba had power. She was like, can you cast a spell to kill John's wife, Elizabeth? That happens beforehand. But that didn't happen. So we kind of know that she's a little crazy, and she wants John, and that she wants Elizabeth out of the picture. Teenage crushes, right? After all this happens, right, people are starting to believe that there are witches in town. So people are starting to believe that there are witches in town. All right, so they call a master witch hunter. His name is Reverend John Hale. You see him at the top left. In the movie, he's played by this long-haired fellow with the hat. His job is to investigate witchcraft and find it out, right? So once people call him, hysteria starts. It's like the coronavirus, where we all kind of thought it was kind of silly, right? Whatever. But the second quarantine started, you're like, oh man, okay, maybe it's a little more serious than I thought it would be. The same thing is with John Hale. He believes that there are witches and there's devils in the world. If you paid attention to our devils, sinners in the hands of angry God speech, sermon that we read, you see that the Puritans actually believe that the devil is walking bigger in the realm, and that evil is an actual creation and object. So John Hale comes and hysteria starts. Hysteria is when you allow your emotions to take over and you kind of panic. The whole town's kind of panicking. And we kind of find out several things. The angry looking fellow on the top right, that is Thomas Putnam. His daughter gets sick. And you kind of see that throughout the play, he's using this event to further some of his grievances. And you see early on some things he has disputes with John Proctor and a guy named Giles Corey over land, over property, and over money. And you find out that Reverend Paris, Abigail's uncle, and the one that catches them early on, that a lot of people in town don't like him because he's very similar to Jonathan Edwards. And then there's a disagreement about whether Paris should have called Reverend Hale. They don't think that it does any good. People are nervous. And then you kind of you see that there is this chaos in the town, the underlying problems, disputes. So Proctors, Putnams, and Rebecca Nurse in Paris, they were arguing about politics and town stuff. The arguments covered everything from Putnam's meddling to Mrs. Putnam's envy that none of Rebecca Nurse's children has died. If you remember my description of Mrs. Putnam, she loses 8 kids. She loses 7 kids to childbirth, and she only has 1 kid, Ruth Putnam, who's actually sick, falls under the coma. So, dislike of Proctor has dislike of Paris and his fiery sermons, and Paris believes that his salary is not good enough. So, witchcraft provides a forum for venting all these resentments of Salem's close-knit, oppressive society. Whether consciously or unconsciously, these resentments will impact all the characters' interactions as the hysteria about witchcraft grows. All right, so we're getting towards the end of Act 1, and all of this does in Act 1 is set up the problems in the play. So far, we have a lot of different things happening. But the key thing is we're going to target, we need to find a scapegoat. If you remember that word, scapegoats are someone we put the blame on, and we'll go over that when I go over the questions. All right. So after Hale comes, Reverend Hale, the witch hunter guy, he comes and investigates. Hale asks Abigail if she could conjure the devil. Abigail says Tituba did. So instead of confessing to the truth, Abigail and the girls, they push the blame to Tituba, which is the servant of Reverend Paris. As Mrs. Putnam goes to Tituba, Hale asks Abigail several questions. Did she feel the devil's presence? Did she drink from the kettle? Did she herself give herself to the devil? Abigail denies everything. As soon as Tituba enters, however, Abigail screams that Tituba made her do it. So she was denying that there was witchcraft. But once she sees Tituba, she pushes the blame on her. If you remember early on in the play, when I explained it, Abigail denied that there's any witchcraft, but she sees that there's a way out. She sees that maybe I can push this blame to someone else, and she pretends. And there's this crazy scene, and I actually highly recommend you watch the movie. Winona Ryder, which is the mom in Stranger Things, she plays Abigail Williams in the 1996 rendition of this play. She screams, she pretends that Tituba has bewitched her, and everyone's attention goes to Tituba. They say that Tituba made her do it, that Tituba made her drink blood. All this is not true, but they push the blame to her. Abigail switches her tactics once Hale makes it clear he believes there might have been witchcraft. Abigail gives him what he wants. She says there was witchcraft and portrays herself as an innocent victim. So from the rest of the play, Abigail pretends to be a victim. Even though early on we see that she's the leader of the girls, that she's willing to lie, that she has an affair, that she has these underlying motives, that she's not the person she says she is. So after the scene, we see this moment right here on the right side where the kind of corner at Tituba. Towards the end of the play, Hale asks Tituba when she made contact with the devil. He's like grabbing her face and looking at her, and Paris is getting a whip out, and he starts hitting her, and she's just screaming out, and Putnam yells that she should be hanged, and Tituba sees her life. Towards the end, she sees that everyone's against her, that Hale thinks that she's part of the devil, and that Paris, in the play, he's threatening to hang her and whip her, but in the movie, they're lashing her, and sometimes in the on-Broadway scenes, you kind of see them in between. So they're kind of cornering her, they're hurting her, they're questioning her, and then suddenly, she agrees. She screams out that she didn't want to work for the devil. So that's for your interpretation. Did you think that she actually worked for the devil, or it shows how torture works? They were hitting her, telling her to confess, and the only time they stopped hitting her was when she actually confessed. So she gives a bunch of names, but the names that she gives are the names that they're feeding her. Putnam's like, did Sarah Good do it? Did Mrs. Osborne do it? And Tituba's like, yeah, they did it, yeah. So she's just there's this word parroting. When parrots do, they repeat what people say. She's just parroting what they're saying, and she sees that her only escape is if she confesses to something that she knows she didn't do. So from the end of Act 1, chaos. We're going to see the start of the Salem with Straws. All right, so that's Act 1. Any questions about it?
No.
No? Does that make sense?
Can we watch the movie?
You definitely can. I don't know how I could show it to you.
Okay.
Like I have the movie on my computer. I have the DVD. If we're in my class, I can show it to you. It's on YouTube, or you can rent it somewhere.
So I'm not trying to get a virus.
Huh?
Oh?
You're trying to get a virus? But I don't know how I could show it to you, but I highly recommend watching the movie. You could find it online somewhere. It helps you visualize more what's happening, and it's a very interesting play. I actually get really excited when we do this every year, so that's why I'm kind of sad that we weren't able to do this a little sooner. But very interesting, very exciting. That first act is good. Second act is not that good, but third act, like when the kids say fire, that's like a great section to play. All right, so if you guys want extra credit, I posted up 20 questions. So I actually posted up the wrong one. If you look up on assignments, there's one where it has 28 questions. That's the wrong one. The right one was on interactive notebook materials, which had only 20 questions. Either way, if you can post it up that you did it, let me see, let me show you guys. On Schoology, actually I shouldn't go there. On Schoology, there's a sign called Act 1 Questions. If you take a picture of it and upload it, you get extra credit. But I would recommend taking notes on either act and these questions. So I'm going to go over all the questions right now. And these questions, I'm going to open a quiz tonight. And not all the questions will be on there, but part of the questions will be there. And it's going to open notes, obviously, because I can't stop it. So, all right. If you have a piece of paper, awesome, which is cool because I'm giving you the answers, so you just write it down and post it up. All right, so question number 1. How does Paris try to convince his audience that witchcraft is not the cause of Betty's condition? How does he use different appeals? Early on, he kind of explains to people that they're just dancing, that she was sick, and he does everything in his power not to use witchcraft. And this kind of is important because later on he switches his tone. He believes that they're witchcraft. Number 2, examine how Abigail's claims change throughout this act. How does she adapt it to her environment? What's her original claim? What are the incremental changes to this claim? Huh? All right, number 2. This is a key thing. Abigail's character changes significantly. So in the very beginning, she knows that they're just dancing, fooling around. She tells Paris that. She tells John Proctor that, right? She says that they're just messing around. And she tries to cover up what was happening. Later on, when Hale is questioning her and she sees that she might get in trouble, she snakes her way out by pushing the blame onto Tituba. That she's saying that, no, she bewitched me, right? So that's how she changes. She changes from saying that they're just dancing, messing around, and it switches to her pushing the blame onto someone else once she feels like she's gonna get in trouble. Her original claim is that she was just dancing, and it changes all the way to the point that Tituba was trying to force the devil on her. Question 3, examine the language Paris employs while speaking to his niece. What does his language convey about his attitude towards Abigail, Betty, and the rest of the village? He is very aggressive with his daughter on that side. With Abigail, he heard rumors that maybe her name's not clean, that maybe she had an affair with someone or something happened. He doesn't really respect her too much. She's living in her house. Backstory of Abigail: her parents were killed by Native Americans years before. That's backstory before the play starts. So he kind of is very aggressive, and he is vengeful, and he believes that everyone in the town is after him. He believes that there are people against him. So his attitude towards Betty, he loves Betty, he's very kind to her. Abigail, he's very aggressive towards her. In town, he thinks that they're against him. 4, why do you think dancing in the forest at night is seen as scandalous in this society? Well, this is a very oppressive society. We're not allowed to have fun. Dancing is definitely against it. Even for reading, you're not really allowed to read except for the Bible. They're very, very religious. It is very party poopers. Especially, I think they'll freak out if they saw how kids dance today in comparison. 5, keyword scapegoating. Scapegoating is when someone places blame or fault on someone else for their mistakes. How do characters use Titsbo as a scapegoat in this act? How do Miller portrayal of this scapegoat communicate a message of central idea of race in the class and society, but also act as scapegoat? So scapegoating, if you're not sure what that means, if you studied World War II recently, last year or this year, you see that a lot of people, to get in power, they push blame and hate towards a smaller group. You see that in Nazi Germany. Hitler blamed the Jews for all the German problems. He scapegoated them. You see that when Donald Trump was trying to get elected, he was saying, okay, you guys don't have jobs, America's not great right now, and he pushed the blame to immigrants, saying that immigrants are taking your stuff. So scapegoating is when you put blame on someone else, even though it could be your own mistakes. The characters use Titsbo as a scapegoat. They obviously were part of the problem. The girls, they were part of the situation of dancing, but they use Titsbo as a way to escape. They blame all the witchcraft stuff on her because she was a defenseless character. She's from Barbados. She's black, so she couldn't defend herself. This kind of shows several things about race and class. One, obviously, Titsbo is black and she can't defend herself. Class, if you're poor, you can't defend yourself. But on another note, if you're a woman in this society, you are blamed for things. In the Puritan culture, they believe that women were more susceptible to evil, to being tricked by the devil. And this kind of even goes back to, I'm not sure how versed you guys are in Christianity and the Bible and stuff. Well, one thing is, think about Adam and Eve. Of Adam and Eve, who bites the apple? It's Eve, right? So even early on, we see that in the Christian faith, women are more susceptible to temptation, to evil. And this kind of is shown throughout the play. He's trying to show that the only time the women in the play get power is when they put themselves as the victims. 6, how do characters try to build their own credibility in the face of specific other characters? How they build their credibility. So one person that builds their credibility is Rebecca Nurse. Rebecca Nurse, early on, she explains to the people that the girls are lying. She thinks they're lying. She thinks that Betty is pretending. She thinks that Ruth is pretending. But they don't listen to her. She says, I've had many grandchildren and many kids. I can tell when kids are lying. So that's one character. Another character that's able to show their own credibility is Reverend Hale. He explains that I have had a lot of experience finding witchcraft and I am an expert in this. Number 7. Why do the Putnams jump to witchcraft to explain Betty and Ruth's conditions? That's a good question. You could argue that they're trying to jump to witchcraft to kind of explain, to try to. It's hard to say, but there are the ones that will use the witchcraft to target people. So they want to do it so they can gain power, so they can blame people, so they could get rid of people. If you see at the end of Act 1, is the Putnams that feed Titsbo the names. The first people that get accused because of what happens with Titsbo, Sarah Good and Martha Osborne, they're accused because Titsbo says it. And remember I said, Titsbo is only saying that because they're parroting what the Putnams are saying. So why do you think they jumped into witchcraft? Well, they're trying to use it to further their life. 8. How does the act serve Miller's larger criticism of McCarthyism? for you to understand McCarthyism, you have to have done that one discussion post called Joseph McCarthy and McCarthyism. And if you haven't done that, I'd recommend going there, because our unit ends with understanding that idea. Like, that's the most important thing you need to know. And I'm gonna have a PowerPoint next week about this, that whole thing. So you gotta know what McCarthyism is. So if you haven't already, go back and do that discussion post. If you remember, McCarthyism was in the 1950s, and the main enemy of the United States during that time period was the Soviet Union, Russia, communism, the Red Scare, right? So that was the main enemy. So there was a guy named Joseph McCarthy, Senator Joseph McCarthy, and what he did was he wanted to find all the communists that were living in the United States. So you would have these hearings, they're kind of like trials where they bring people up, and a lot of people from like Hollywood, famous people, they would accuse them of being a communist. So in that society, in the 1950s, you had two options. If you were accused of being a communist, you can either sell out someone else or admit to it. So there was no win-win. There's no solution to it. It's similar to this situation. Tituba doesn't really have a choice. She either gets whipped if she keeps denying it, or the only way they stop hitting her is if she agrees, like, yeah, those people are witches. Same thing that happened with Abigail. She was getting pressed, and once she gave away Tituba's name, they stopped pressing her. So there's no win in this situation. If you deny it, you get hurt or go to jail or something happens to you. But if you snitch on someone, that's when you're able to escape the pain, which is unfair system. All right, 9. Explain how the word child is used. Who uses the word? How does the word help express certain attitude towards other characters? During this scene where Abigail and John Proctor are about to kiss and they're embracing each other, he says, "Child, don't think like that." And she gets mad, like, "How can you call me a child? You had an affair with me. Obviously, you didn't think I was a child back then, and you used that word child on me." So he uses it to show that he's more mature than her, that he's more authority than her, and she is offended because she thinks that since they had an affair together, that they should be on the same level. All right, 11. What scandalous act was Mrs. Putnam part of? What does this convey about her character, about Puritan society? We kind of find out that, so early in the play, the people go dancing. Obviously, the girls go dancing in the forest, and she tried to convince Tituba to help her raise her dead babies back, even though Tituba doesn't have that power, but she believes in that black magic. This kind of shows that even though on outward appearance that people have this idea of being Christians and believing in faith, that behind the scenes that they're not fully committed, and that sometimes the oppression society, oppression stops them from doing and feeling the things that they should feel. 12. What is John Proctor's attitude towards Abigail? What is Abigail's towards John Proctor? We can say this, that John Proctor has some feelings towards Abigail, but he wants to move on with his life. He wants to make things better for his wife. Abigail is absolutely in love with John Proctor. She wants to marry him and have his babies, and she wants to get rid of Elizabeth Proctor, his wife. Point to details is that scene where they're about to kiss. She's like, "Give me a soft word," and John's like, "No, you don't speak bad about my wife." Calls her a child, and she wants him to see her as an adult. 13. Who does Abigail want dead? What does this convey about her character? She wants Elizabeth Proctor dead, her booze wife. This shows that she's crazy. She is nuts. And as Kyria said, like, go watch the movie, because she is crazy, and it's a good performance. Obviously movie, but Abigail wants Elizabeth Proctor dead. 14. What is Proctor's attitude towards Paris? Why doesn't Proctor go to church? How does Proctor's and Rebecca's description of Paris' sermons connect to Jonathan Edwards? If you remember, I read like an excerpt of Jonathan Edwards' Sinners in the Hands of Angry God. That is a example of the ways that reverends and preachers were speaking to their congregation. A lot of, you're going to go to hell, you're going to die, you're going to leave your sin, you guys are ungrateful. There's a lot of stuff like that. And it's fiery, and it kind of, the point of it is to scare people into believing God. They use fear. 15, examine the conflict between Mr. Putnam and Proctor and Giles. How does this conflict contribute to Miller's larger purpose? Describe Reverend Hale's character. What is his attitude towards witchcraft's abilities? So, spoken before, Mr. Putnam and Proctor and Giles, they fight over land. They have a disagreement about property. This goes to show, Miller is the author of the play. This kind of goes to show that his explanation that there were underlying reasons for why the witchcraft started. Miller doesn't actually believe that there was real witchcraft, but he does believe that people's human nature caused it to kind of happen. Describe Hale. Well, he is a righteous guy. He believes that there is witchcraft, but he is a good person. His abilities are to kind of search for the truth, and he might be blinded by that later on. If you looked at 15 and 16, I mixed the questions together. So I was 16, which is end of 15's question. It's Reverend Hale is a righteous character. Righteous means that he has a faith and he believes in, and he believes what he's doing is good. He doesn't see that his arrival into Salem, Massachusetts, their town, causes hysteria. All right. 17. Why does Tituba confess at the end? She confesses because it's her only escape. If she doesn't confess, they'll keep hitting her. She understands right away by looking at the situation that the only way to escape is to confess. And that's the options given to her. This causes a domino effect for the rest of the play. So now people in town believe that they're witches, and they're going to find these people who are affected and afflicted by the devil. This causes, if you did the Salem Witch Trials discussion, 19 people will die in this play, and 200 people will get accused and arrested. 18, how do the other characters view Tituba? They kind of see her as like a pawn. They see her as just something that they can push their blame to, that they could use. Kind of shows what they think about the racial system. 19, examine Hale's line of questioning with Tituba. What is the significance of questioning? How does it relate the language to achieve its purpose? You gotta go back and look at that section, but you kind of can see that he was kind of convincing her that he was on her side. He was very gentle for her when he was talking to her, and he's explaining to her that he could bring you back to the lights. I know you made deals with the devil, but we'll bring you back. All right, 20. Explain the escalation of events at the end of this act. Why do the girls react the way they do? How do they contribute? So if you see, I'd recommend go look at the end of the play in the movie, or go just look at the last few pages of Act 1. It is wild. So once they get Tituba to confess, all the girls start screaming, and they are accusing different people in town. And they do this because they see that if they confess to something that which other people were trying to bewitch them, that they could finally push the blame to someone else and escape through them. And this causes the Salem Witch Trials to start. This causes things to begin. All right, so if you missed any of that, I'm posting the video up. Also, this is on Schoology. You can find it here. Other interactive notebook materials. You see it's Act 1 summary analysis. bottom, it is Act 1 guiding questions. And then later today, I'm going to open up a quiz for Act 1. All right, so what do you guys need to do? So I'm going to grade these today. These were from the past. What you guys need to do, if you guys want to get the extra credit, turn in Act 1 guiding questions. This one, this is actually publish. Okay, so you're gonna have a quiz, and I'm opening up today. It's going to be called Quiz Act 1 and Sinners in the Hands of Angry God. Open notes, open book, so make sure you understand what's happening in play. You can take it up to 2 times, actually. So if you say the first time you don't do well, but since I'm allowing you to take it multiple times, you're not going to, unlike the quizzes in the past, you can't see the answers at the end, so you can have to figure out what you got wrong. Let's see. So those are the assignments related to Crucible. So once again, Act 1 questions, Act 1 quiz. If you haven't already, and I talked about this, simply join a little late, is I opened up rhetorical analysis number 2 again. There are some people here that needed to do that. Manny, you're in here now, so do that. Byron, because I'm going to open up part 3.
All right.
Rhetorical analysis number 3 tonight, and you have a week to do that. On Friday, I'm going to we're gonna go over a lesson on Arthur Miller and the play and some background history, and I'm gonna assign Act 2 for you guys. And then next week we do Act 3, and to go back pretty quickly. And on May 20th, we have our AP exam. So within the last 2 weeks, I'm gonna make sure you guys are ready for that. Any questions? Anyone? Anyone? Juliana? Byron?
No, sir.
No.
Alex? All right, cool. Before we head out, Juliana, can you recap what we need to do?
We need to, if we didn't get the notes, we need to go to the Act 1 summaries, and then we need to go to the questions, and then later you're going to post a quiz, and we can use our notes for the quiz.
Okay. And last thing, we're opening up rhetorical analysis number 3. So the ones that didn't do 2, Manny, you gotta go do that. All right, you good?
Yep.
All right. I'll see you guys on Friday. All right. See you guys. Have a good day.
Adios.
Adios.
Bye.